Hello there lovely people, Alex from Nintendo Life here, and to celebrate the launch of Metroid Prime Trilogy on the Wii U eShop, I've put together the top 10 Metroid Powerups from the entire franchise. So let's take a look, shall we? At number 10, it's the SCANVISOR. Now this power-up became big mainly in the Metroid Prime series because you had the first-person perspective and you could get additional information about the environment, and it really did flesh out the entire experience. But it actually had its first appearance in Super Metroid of all games. It was used to see through walls and see certain blocks and whether they were destructible or not, and if so, what weapon you needed to destroy them. And whilst yes, it's not exactly the same as it is in Metroid Prime, and arguably they're two separate power-ups, I still feel that they're basically at the same level. They're sort of at their core really the same thing in many ways. In many ways not, but in some ways they are. I've clustered them together because it's easier. At number 9, it's the missile. Now, where would Samus be without her missile? I believe it's been in the franchise since the very first Metroid. I must admit, I haven't actually played the first Metroid. I know, may my head be struck from my shoulders for that. But what I remember it from is Metroid Prime 2. Metroid Prime 2? I mean Metroid 2, Return of Samus on the Game Boy. Big difference there. The missile was such a crucial weapon in Metroid 2, being that it was the only item, at least to begin with, that could actually damage the Metroids, and as such, considering how key they were in the game and such a huge part of it, it was so important that you had enough missiles, and if you didn't, you just couldn't kill the Metroids, which was quite, sort of quite unfair in some regards, but it really did make for a tough game. And as such, being that Metroid 2 was the first game that I ever played, it really does hold a special place in my heart as being one of the first big, powerful weapons that could do any damage against these fantastic alien creatures. At number 8, it's the SPIDERBALL. Now, this is an upgrade for the Morph Ball, and it allowed you to climb on walls, basically, especially in the 2D Metroid games. In Metroid Prime, then you could go along certain rails. It's not quite the same, but in the 2D Metroids, it opened up the maps hugely. You could go anywhere. And again, in Metroid 2, I believe, was its debut, and it was just astonishing. It was mind-blowing. You could go anywhere, and it actually had some really tricky puzzles to get around. You had to go all the way around these huge rooms, and it was just such a revelation, and you really had to think in a completely different manner when you got your hands on this thing. At number 7, it's the Space Jump. Now, the Space Jump is a bit like the SPIDERBALL in many regards because it allows you to go many places that you couldn't before. And whilst the SPIDERBALL allowed you to climb along walls and things like that, the Space Jump, you didn't need walls. You could just jump forever if you had the timing right. And it's been in every Metroid game since Metroid 2, I believe. Again, could have been in Metroid, haven't played it, shoot me. But it's just such a key and important part of the series, and it really does open up all the maps, again like the SPIDERBALL, for the fantastic exploration that has made the Metroid franchise what it is today. And number 6 is a slightly more modern power-up, and that is the Diffusion missile. Now this is something that you only get in Metroid Fusion and hasn't actually appeared in any Metroid games since, I believe. It may have appeared in Other M, but I didn't actually get through to the end of that game. This weapon powers up the Ice Rocket, which is a variation of the Super Rocket from Super Metroid, but it causes a sort of explosion. It's difficult to describe. You can see it in action here, and it sort of spirals round and this ice just flies out everywhere, and it really does make certain things so much easier. And it's just such a weird weapon, and it really fits the slightly unusual aesthetic of Metroid Fusion. It kicks ass, it really does. It really does kick ass, and I couldn't help but have it on the list. At number 5, it's arguably the best looking suit in the entire series, the light suit. Have you seen this? Do I even really need to describe why it's so good? Just look at it, it looks so good. The only reason it's not higher up on the list is that its function is a little bit mundane. It only allows you to travel through the dark world, dark ether, without taking damage, which is a bit rubbish, to be honest, but look at it, it's so pretty, just so pretty. Couldn't help but have it. At number 4, it's the PHAZONBEAM. Now, this was the first time when playing a Metroid game that I felt truly invincible as Samus. Within reason, wasn't completely, but like I had this huge power behind me in the arm cannon. And if you've played Metroid Prime, you'll know that it's the only thing you can actually do to damage Metroid Prime in its pure form. And it just obliterates everything. And it comes back in Metroid Prime 3 Corruption in slightly watered down form, but you can use it almost whenever you want. Not only is it such an overpowered item, but also when you look at it, it looks the business, and it uses this Phazon, which is this sort of otherworldly substance that can't really be compared to anything in the real world, and it's just such a fantastic idea, and it just makes you feel like an absolute king. Number 3 is the fusion suit. Now, I know this is very much more of a power down than a power up, but it looks so good, and it has one of the best explanations for Samus losing all of her power-ups at the start of a game, which she nearly always does. Also, the fusion suit is a significantly less powerful suit, so Samus isn't used to this lack of power, and so when you actually play the game, you have to go up against the SAX, which is an X-parasite that has taken on the form of Samus at her full strength in a various suit and all that. And you come across it several times, and it's absolutely terrifying because you really do feel utterly powerless against this thing, and it just goes to show, it really highlights how powerful Samus is by making her almost powerless. And whenever you come across her, you can try and fight, but she will just ruin you, and your only option is to hide or run. And that is why it is just such a classic power-up. At number 2, it's the Morph Ball. Now, this is actually a power-up that has a strange origin. The only reason that it came about was because in the original Metroid, they didn't have enough space on the cartridge to animate Samus doing a crawling motion to get through the small gaps. So instead they designed this, it's just a sphere with just a few frames of animation, and yet it's become one of the most iconic parts of the Metroid series. And I just honestly can't think of anything bar number 1 that describes the Metroid series better. It's been in every Metroid game, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. At number 1, it couldn't be anything else, it's the screw attack. This is something that, whilst it hasn't been in every single game, it has just become so eponymous with the series that it's even used as the symbol for the game. I say game, I mean series, really. I mean, every time you see a Metroid logo, 9 times out of 10, it's got the screw attack symbol on it, and it just looking at it, it just evokes so many fantastic memories of Metroid 2, Super Metroid, and it even appeared in one of the Prime games. I'm not sure if it's in Metroid Prime 3, but it's certainly in Metroid Prime 2, and it's just so nice to see it in there, because it wasn't in the original Metroid Prime, which was an absolute sin, but I suppose you just got to work with what you've got. Nothing else sums up the Metroid series more than the screw attack, at least in my opinion. So that was the top 10 Metroid power-ups. Do you agree with the list, or do you think that it's complete nonsense? Should the charge beam have been in there somewhere? I mean, I wanted to include it. I wanted to include every power-up, because frankly, nearly all of them are fantastic. But just didn't have room, only 10. So let me know what you think should be the top 10 in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, find that subscribe button and kick it in the teeth. And be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thanks again for watching. Bye bye.